You've probably seen the title Sales Enablement Architect on LinkedIn and thought, what does that person actually do? Well, it turns out they might just be the secret weapon for fast-growing companies that are struggling with chaos. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this exact role by looking at a real-world expert and breaking down how they literally architect a company's engine for growth.
All right, so let's set the scene with a problem that I bet a lot of you know all too well. You've got a great product, you've got a team full of smart people, but for some reason, everything just feels disconnected. Your sales team, your marketing team, your partner team, they're all working hard, but they're in their own little worlds, kind of speaking different languages. That, my friends, is go-to-market chaos, and it is the silent killer of growth.
So what's the big deal? What really happens when these teams aren't on the same page? Well, it's way more than just some internal frustration. It's a direct hit to the company's bottom line. This misalignment starts to show up as some very painful and very expensive symptoms.
And yep, these are the classic signs. Sound familiar? Deals drag on forever. Your partner channels just aren't delivering. You've got this digital mountain of sales decks and assets that nobody can find, or worse, nobody trusts. And all the while, your new hires are basically burning cash for 6 months before they can actually hit the ground running. It's a perfect storm.
So you're in this mess. How do you get out? Well, you bring in an architect. No, not for a building, but for your company's growth engine. This is the Sales Enablement Architect, the person whose entire job is to design the blueprint for success. And now we're going to see exactly how they do it by diving into a real-world case study.
Okay, so let's just get a formal definition on the table. An enablement architect is a strategic leader who designs, builds, and manages all the programs that help sales and partner teams win. But here's the crucial part you have to get. This isn't an admin role, it's a design role. They are literally building the systems and processes that make success scalable.
And to make this all real, our guide is the career of Bill Hallett. He's a veteran in the super high-stakes world of cybersecurity. By looking at the actual results he delivered at companies like Cyware and Proofpoint, we get a practical, no-fluff blueprint for how an architect brings order to chaos.
All right, so where does an architect start? The first blueprint they almost always tackle is onboarding. Why? Because honestly, one of the biggest hidden costs for any company is just how long it takes for a new hire to become productive. A messy, unstructured process isn't just slow, it's incredibly expensive. It's just bleeding money.
So let's look at the before picture. It's a pretty common one. The company was looking at a 6-month ramp time for anybody new on the sales or partner teams. Think about that. That is half a year before a new hire is fully up to speed. Just imagine the cost of that delay multiplied by every single new person you bring on board. Ouch.
And now for the after. This is the impact of that architectural approach. By building one single structured onboarding program, they cut that time to productivity in half, from 6 months all the way down to 3. That's not just a small improvement, that's a massive injection of speed into the entire business.
But you know, it wasn't just about being faster. It was about creating a system of excellence. The new program had these role-based learning paths, actual certifications, and look at this. It led to over 2,300 completions. So you're not just training people, you're building a repeatable engine that cranks out experts.
Okay, moving on. Blueprint number 2, the partner engine. You know, for so many companies, partners are this huge underperforming asset. They're treated like a simple transactional channel. The architect's job is to completely redesign that relationship and build an engine that turns partners into a massive strategic advantage.
And when you do it right, the results are just transformative. At Cyware and Proofpoint, taking this architectural approach led to a 150% jump in deal registrations. But more importantly, the deals actually led by partners grew by 1/3, and the partner-sourced pipeline just exploded, a 7x increase. That right there is the difference between having a partner program and having a partner engine.
So how'd they do it? Well, it's not magic. It's architecture. You build the infrastructure. This meant creating a real partner portal, a dedicated partner academy with certifications, a whole library of assets, and even account mapping tools to help them find leads. You see, you're not just asking partners to sell for you, you're giving them the actual blueprint to succeed.
All right, our final blueprint is all about the modern toolkit. Because, let's be honest, a sales team is only as good as the tools and the intelligence you give them. The architect's job is to make sure that toolkit isn't just okay, it's absolutely world-class.
Now here's a problem that I think will feel very, very real to a lot of you. The assets, the sales decks, the one-pagers, the case studies,
They were on average 15 months old. When your content is that stale, it's not just useless, it's a liability. It's actively hurting your sales process.
The fix was a super simple, systematic, 4-step process. First, you audit everything, just to see what you have. Second, you create one central place for everything, a single source of truth. Third, you put new processes in place to keep it fresh. And fourth, and this is so key, you communicate the new assets every single week, so the team actually knows they exist and uses them.
And the result of that project? An 80% reduction in the age of the content. They took the average asset from being 15 months old all the way down to just 3 months old. That is an absolute game changer for giving your teams relevant, powerful materials they can actually use to close deals.
A modern toolkit, of course, also means leveraging modern tech. At Cyware, this meant using powerful AI tools like Gemini to just supercharge their research. And the goal wasn't just to use AI for AI's sake. It was to use it to create a real, decisive, competitive advantage, especially with intelligence gathering.
The impact this had on efficiency is just incredible. The old way of doing a deep competitive analysis took roughly 3 months. By building a new framework powered by AI, that entire cycle was crushed down to just 2 weeks. That's not just faster, it's a fundamental shift that lets the team be hyper-responsive to what's happening in the market. So we've seen the blueprints for onboarding, for partners, for the toolkit, but the ultimate question is always, does any of this actually impact the bottom line? So let's connect all this work directly to revenue.
So what was the final score? Well, the numbers really do speak for themselves. The sales cycle got faster, shrinking from 9 months down to 7. The channel team didn't just hit their goal, they blew past it, hitting 130% of quota. The entire business shifted, with partner-led revenue literally doubling from 15 to 30%. And the architect themselves exceeded their own quota for 7 straight years. The takeaway is crystal clear. This work is directly tied to revenue, period.
Ultimately, I think this quote just captures the whole role perfectly. An architect's job isn't to help one person win one deal. It is to design a system where success isn't just possible, but it's repeatable and it's scalable for the entire organization.
And that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question, the one I want you to take back to your own team. Who is intentionally designing your systems for success? Who is the architect of your company's growth engine?